First, fast, and accurate. News Channel 25, WVTT.
A pretty chilly day for us here in the Twin Tiers as the high reached only to about 20 degrees. Let's take a look now at our weather quickie. Tonight we're going to see a high of only 10 degrees. It's going to be very, very cold tonight. We're going to see a little bit of precipitation. Then tomorrow it looks like our high is going to be about 36 degrees with a little bit more snow. And it looks like this weekend we're going to see in the high 30s and again into the 40s. So a bit of a warm up, and then it looks like it's going to stay in those mid 30s for the next week. So that's some good news. I'll have more weather updates later on.
Global news update on WVTT.
And speaking of weather, a massive winter storm brought rain, snow, and even a tornado to parts of California. Casey Wyan has more on this wild weather.
The storm arrived in Northern California with a vengeance. Roads shut down.
It's a mess everywhere. So Highway 49 is actually blocked right now.
Traffic jammed.
Just going to Sonora. I know, but it's Stockton Road. It's too icy, and we keep having people spin off the road.
Motorists wrestled with chains.
It's frustrating on a lot of levels. There's blockages everywhere.
Here's a twist. A twister ripped apart this California barn, but caused no injuries.
Well, I think of Kansas, not Northern California. When we saw it, it had pieces of the barn already in it. And it was just like, basically like a shock of how powerful nature can be.
Nature's power, just a playground for a dog. And a headache for workers preparing for the Academy Awards on Sunday. Snow in Southern California mountain passes created a nightmare for some motorists. Interstate 15 behind me, a major route between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, was closed on and off overnight. And Wednesday morning, icy conditions forced the shutdown of a section of Interstate 5, a major thoroughfare for California truckers. But the worst of the storm passed, for the most part, harmlessly through California and headed east, leaving this peaceful sight behind. Casey Wyan, CNN, Cajon Pass, California.
Now from the snow to the ice, the Buffalo Sabres will have a new face behind the bench at tonight's game. Ron Rolston will take charge after the team's general manager fired head coach Lindy Ruff yesterday. The Sabres had 6 wins and 10 losses so far in this year's shortened season. Ruff was in his 16th season as a Sabres head coach. That's the longest tenure in NHL and the second longest in all major sports. We sent out a WVTT camera crew to get reaction from the Twin Tiers residents about this recent decision made by the Sabres.
I think it was a little premature in nature in terms of the short season. You can't pin it all on the coach. Obviously, there is some issues with the coaching, but there's also issues with the players producing. Obviously, people weren't complaining back in 2007 when we were contenders for the Stanley Cup. But I think there needed to be changes, whether it was more changes in the staff or more changes in the roster.
Change. They were not advancing anywhere. They needed change, and they had to make a move. Can't fire 20 players, but you can get rid of one coach.
Well, the largest teachers union in New York and parents from at least 6 school districts are suing to have the state's property tax cap declared unconstitutional. New York State United Teachers filed a lawsuit yesterday in state Supreme Court contending that the cap upholds funding inequalities between rich and poor school districts and undermines local control of school funding. Now, Governor Cuomo insists that the tax is not a cap since it allows local voters to exceed it if at least 60% vote for it. The city of Olean continues to work on the development at the corner of Union and State Streets. The project, unofficially dubbed Manny Hanny, is an abbreviation of the former manufacturer's Hanover Bank. WVTT spoke with Public Works Director Tom Windus, who explains that the city's urban renewal agency owns not just the massive bank building, but several adjoining buildings as well.
They're hoping to develop that whole corner, Manny Hanny basically being the anchor of it. I know they've been working for the last 3-4 years trying to find a prime developer. They're working right now with Kinley Corporation to be that prime developer to develop the site. They're working out the details of that. That was what we submitted to CFA 2 years ago to try and get some grant monies to help kickstart that project. It really is. It's been vacant. I think they're saying going on 20 years now. It'd be ideal to have something in that facility for the future.
Now, Windus says that if the property continues to sit vacant for another 10 or even 20 years, the building will need to be torn down. But we want to hear your opinion. Go to our Facebook page and join the conversation. It's facebook.com/WVTT News. An investigation is continuing into a fatal two-car accident yesterday afternoon in Rushford, New York. Now, according to authorities, 74-year-old Betty Pollock collided her vehicle into 75-year-old Albert Hosborne's vehicle on Route 243, killing Hosborne's 98-year-old passenger, Mildred. She was pronounced dead at Jones Memorial Hospital, but the other parties were treated and released at Strong Memorial Hospital. Amity-based state troopers were among the first to respond. And Wegmans yesterday recalled a batch of all-purpose bleached flour after selling it for nearly 2 months. Wegmans representatives say the batch, which has a best-by date of December 12, 2013, may contain small blue polyurethane balls. Now, they say the balls are part of a product sifting equipment. They aren't sharp and they are visible in the flour. Wegmans removed the product on February 15th and says it can be returned at their stores for a full refund. A new financial tool will standardize a previously confusing process across 64 SUNY schools this coming year. The State University of New York announced a financial aid award letter, which will lay out financial aid offerings at each campus, graduation rates, and median borrowing and loan default rates. Now, the goal, SUNY stated, is to help students understand the cost of education and reduce student debt. Well, it's time for stocks. Why don't we take a look at our WVTT Wall Street wrap-up. It's brought to you by News Radio 96.7 WVTT. The Dow was down 47 points to close at 13,880. The NASDAQ was down about 33 points to close at 3131. And the S&P was down about 10 points to close at 1502. Much more to come. Stick around. This is Twin Tiers Evening News.